Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I am joined by sophomore from the St. Cloud State women's hockey team, Grace Wolfe. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast today, Grace, and how's everything going?
It's going super well. We have a lot of snow up here in St. Cloud, and we're getting ready for our weekend series against UNH and Merrimack. So we have that Friday and Saturday this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, how excited are you to play some non-conference opponents? Because I feel like in the WCHA, it seems like you guys mostly play each other. You guys never really go out of to play different conferences, at least maybe like once a year, it feels like.
Yeah, normally we have just one weekend where we play out of conference. Like last year, we went to Pittsburgh and played Penn State and Syracuse. And then, of course, this year we get to go play New Hampshire and Merrimack. And it's just really fun getting exposure to different kinds of hockey, of course. I mean, I love playing in the WCHA, but it's super fun to compete against other people, of course, that you haven't seen before.
Absolutely. And obviously, just talk about what's the difference of style of play between the WCHA versus other conferences you've played against.
I mean, although we haven't played a ton of other people, I would say the physicality, of course, and just the speed overall. I mean, the WCHA is some of the best players in the country, and it's just a next level type of hockey. So I would definitely say, yeah, the physicality and just the speed and the poise and the skill of all the players is insane.
Now, your team is entering the second half of the season on a good note. You guys are a top 15 team in the country. How would you
Mhm.
evaluate your season as of now?
I would say we're doing everything that we can in our power to be ranked and everything like that. And I think the girls have really, really been committed this first half and doing everything that they can to contribute to the team and to contribute to our overall record and, of course, just performance. And I think all we need to keep doing is obviously working hard and not getting scared of any teams and just playing how we know to play. I think that's really shown so far just based on our record. I mean, last year we weren't even 500, I don't believe. So it's really cool to see that we've already taken this many strides just in the first half of the season.
Yeah, you guys already have more wins now than you did all of last year, so that must feel good.
Yes, I would say for sure.
Now, how do you handle the pressure of being a ranked team, and what's your key for your team's consistency this year during the regular season?
I know we don't try and let it get to our heads, of course, because things can change so easily. I mean, one weekend series can change the entire rest of your season. So, I mean, it's always in the back of our mind, and we're always striving to keep that spot and move up, of course. But um, we're just doing all that we need to stay up in the ranking and working hard. And Coach Adelsky really expects a lot out of us and the best out of us. So, with that being said, we just are doing everything that we can to hold on to where we're at.
Now, one of the biggest upsets that your team pulled off this year was when you guys beat Minnesota. Talk about that upset and what you took away from it, because I felt like your program made a step in the right direction after that win. I know it didn't technically count as a conference win, but it was still
Yeah.
nice to beat that team.
I think it just confirmed to us that how quickly a game can change and just how how hard you work and the effort you put in and how that can just I mean, the game was something I can't even explain. Like, it was so fun to be a part of, and I know a lot of the girls were extremely happy after, and I think it really just goes to show how committed we truly are and that we know we can beat some of these top 2 teams, first team as well. So, I think just keeping that in mind that the girls always know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and we do have a chance to be in that top 3, top 4 team.
Yeah, talk about what it's like playing in the WCHA and just the competition you face every night, because I think when people think of the WCHA, they think of the four teams: Minnesota
Mhm.
Duluth,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. But how, I guess, besides those four teams, what's it like playing the other four teams, and how do you sort of want to make St. Cloud one of those top teams in the conference?
Yeah, just as you said, I want St. Cloud when someone does refer to the WCH as, oh, St. Cloud, Minnesota, whoever and whoever. I think that's the ultimate goal is to be recognized, of course, in those top 4 teams. But playing the WCHA is like no other. And I love playing all of the teams because there's been so many upsets, of course. It's each team is so skilled that if you take one wrong step and that your team's not on the same page, I mean, it can change so easily. So I love the variability in that aspect of it, but I love playing the top 3 teams and the best teams in the nation because, I mean, you're gonna get better each game you play them, and I rather play at a high pace where I'm challenged and everything like that, so I can just be ready for the rest of the season, of course.
Now, individually, what do you think is the biggest improvement you've made to your game this year?
This year, I would say having a little bit more poise and more confidence with the puck. I mean, last year being a freshman, you come in with a little bit of confidence, but I mean, it's really hard in the WCHA, of course, to really gain that confidence and know that what you're doing is the right play, the right pass, and everything like that. So yeah, for me, I would say confidence and poise.
Now, one thing I admire about your game, Grace, is the block shot total. I think you're top five in the nation right now. I know not as many
Mhm.
as Dale Ross, but still pretty
Yeah.
impressive nonetheless. What talk about your mind when you block a shot because it's not easy to do that, but you do it so well. And it's one of the reasons why I have so much respect for you. It's just because you just risk it all sometimes. You just have to dive and just eat that shot.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you. But it's you can really tell when someone's gonna shoot. I mean, they open their blade or they close their blade a little bit. So in that aspect of it, I just watch that, and then when I know they're gonna release it and their eyes are down most of the time, then of course I just step in the lane. And I always like to help our goalies out because it's better to block it than let it through and screen them at the same time. So with that aspect of it, I don't know. I just kind of have an eye for it. I would say I don't know if it's something that you can teach that much, but you just learn it, of course, over your years of playing hockey.
Well, it seems like they teach it very well at St. Cloud State because I think three or four players are in the top five for block shots or something like that. That's pretty impressive. I've
Mhm.
never seen that before.
Yeah, it was me, Dale Ross, and Regan, another our freshman defender. Yeah, we were in the top five. So I don't know. We all just got to do what we have to do to do good in games. So.
Now, talk about your team's goals and expectations for the rest of this season. What do you hope to accomplish?
Of course, as I stated before, we want to be in that top four teams and make it to the NCAA tournament. And I would say just like overall, we just want to stay, of course, where we're at and the path we're at, just winning the games we need to win, and of course competing against those top teams and hopefully splitting and or sweeping some of those. So I would just say, of course, keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. Everyone's working so hard, and it's crazy all the change that we've already seen, and it's been not even a year yet. So I'm excited to see what the future has.
Well, let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of
Mm.
work all the way up to where you are today. So, doing research on yourself, it says that you're from, hopefully, I'm not mispronouncing this town name, Owatonna, Minnesota.
That's really close. It was Owatonna.
All right, all right. I apologize for
Yes,
that.
no, you're fine.
So, talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey?
Well, first off, my dad played hockey, so me and my sister, he got us on skates as soon as we could. And my town is pretty small, 25,000 people, and so I mean, our high school program wasn't the strongest, I wouldn't say, but of course, I went through like the park and rec, the U10, U12, and then after U12, I went right to high school because we simply didn't even have a U14 or U15 now is what they call it team. So that was a really big jump, of course, going from U12 to high school. But I think with that being said, like it makes me really good at like variability, going from higher games to lower games and stuff like that. But the culture there is super awesome. I mean, they're really trying to grow girls hockey there as well. And it's just super cool to go back, of course, every summer and see all of the girls who have developed. And I'm pretty close with a lot of them. So it's just really awesome to see, the program still running very strongly.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone in the NHL or was it a women's player on the national team?
I've always been a total fan of Connor McDavid. Yeah, I would say he's always been my top.
Yeah, I was talking to someone. He says he thinks he's already a Hall of Famer if he retired today.
Oh, goodness. Oh, also, Cale Makar, actually. For forward, Connor McDavid, but Cale Makar, hope to be like that someday.
Oh yeah, I remember watching Cale Makar when he played for UMass, and you could just tell he was
Mhm.
like 10 times better than everyone else.
Absolutely.
It was pretty crazy. It
Yeah.
was kind of cool to know who he was before like he became sort of much more popular in the NHL.
Yes, very true.
Now, talk about your high school hockey days because that's where you played before St. Cloud State. What'd you take away from your experience there when you look back on it now?
I would say coming from like a smaller town, I mean, we never ever made it to the state tournament or anything like that. So I think it's really important to like showcase yourself and know that going and playing places in the summer is the best for you so you can have at least some type of exposure. So I would say just learn to really take advantage of the situations that you have and put yourself out there because you never know who's watching at the showcases and everything like that. So, and with that being said, also, it's really cool to see and kind of be well, I was the captain on the team, so it was really cool being a leader for all the younger girls and kind of playing that role and helping them become the player, of course, that they want to be as well.
What's the best memory you have from your high school hockey days?
I would say we were section champs and we won an OT off my shot and someone tipped it in, and that was probably my best experience. And my sister was a goalie on the team as well, so it was really, really cool playing with her and having us on the backside of things.
Now talk about how your high school hockey experience helped prepare you for college hockey with St. Cloud State.
I would say mostly not so much the my high school, but what I did during the summers and stuff prepared me because compared to hockey in the WCHA, the caliber of my high school play was on a completely different level, so the jump was actually very hard to adjust, but, we had a lot of injuries last year for St. Cloud on defense, so the freshmen kinda just had to be placed into that position, so I'm really grateful for that because I really had to adjust right away and, get acquired to the game, of course.
Now, what's it like being a player in the Minnesota high school hockey scene? And just describe it for those who aren't in it, because I'm from the East Coast and it's sort of hard to understand just
Yeah.
how big it is, because I think it's really cool that you can guys can sell out the XL Energy Center for a high school game. That's very unheard of, at
Mhm.
least here in the East Coast. But another thing I find really cool is that you can play for your public high school in the town you grew up in and make it to the Division One level. Here in the East Coast, that's pretty much impossible. Like you have to go
Oh.
to a prep school somewhere or play juniors for that to
Mhm.
sort for you to get some exposure to play in that level. So talk about what it's just like, I guess, to be in the Minnesota high school hockey scene and just how unique it is compared to other places in the US.
I mean, it's crazy everywhere you go, everyone you know, someone plays hockey, their friend plays hockey, so and there's so many different organizations that are promoting hockey in different lights and everything like that, so the scale of it is insane, and of course, as you said, selling out the XL just shows how I mean, with the high schools, like, it shows how much everyone wants to represent where they're from and that they take pride in that, so I think overall everyone takes pride in the game of hockey, and it's crazy to see and experience, and it's I hope everyone can experience at least one day, the craziness of Minnesota hockey, but it's something that I can't even explain half the time because it's you just have to experience it, but it's amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else being growing up in Minnesota playing hockey.
Now, what was your recruitment process like to St. Cloud State, and what made you want to go to that school versus other ones you might have looked at?
Mhm. I knew I wanted to be, semi close to home so that my family and my parents, could come watch because me and my sister are the first ones to ever play, like, a collegiate sport. So, with that being said, I really wanted it to make a priority to for them to be able to come watch me and experience that for themselves, but I believe I had a knee injury actually my sophomore year of high school, so I was a little behind the 8 ball for the recruiting process because, I mean, you miss a whole year of hockey, that's really hard to come back, from, so I just made sure I did a lot in the summer to also get exposure at, like, the Final 54 camp and stuff like that, but, I think that's where it all started was the camp. I don't know who was there watching, but, they reached out and then talked about everything, and then I committed there August of 2 years ago, I believe, so it was pretty late actually, but yeah, I'm super happy that I'm here now, and my parents and family members can always come watch, so it's really fun to see them there as well.
Yeah, and obviously dealing with those challenges with the injury that you suffered for your sophomore year, and then obviously the pandemic, how'd you sort of
Mhm.
navigate those challenges while going through the recruitment process?
Yeah, I actually used, an app, it's called NCSA, it's Next college student athletes, so you can actually compile all of your film and your highlights, and you can make a reel of that, and then you could send that out to college coaches, so in that aspect, I got that, exposure, and then you could email them and everything, of course, but, I think that helped as well because I, of course, made my own little thing, and then people could look at it and then message me and talk from there on, but, yeah, it was quite difficult, but I made sure to keep my options open and just not commit to anything too early unless I saw it fit for me.
Now you talked about how college hockey was a major adjustment from high school. What was the
Mhm.
biggest adjustment that you had to make? I'm assuming it was probably just the speed of the game, but also you talked about how physical the WCHA is, and obviously you have to make quicker decisions with the puck because of that speed and physicality. So just talk about what you think the biggest adjustment was and how you adjusted to it as a freshman.
Yeah, I would honestly say the speed as well, you have to know exactly what you're gonna do in 2 seconds half the time, so in that aspect as well, but I've always been a super physical player, so I adjusted to that just fine, but also just really trusting your teammates as well, knowing where they are and that they're in position, so I think that was also really a big thing because in high school, not I mean, there wasn't that much structure, but we really need structure in the WCHA to, beat these top teams, so, yeah, overall, I would say speed and just being really quick with your decisions and knowing that where everyone else is on the ice.
Now, this past summer, there was a coaching transition. I'm curious how you handled that, and what's it been like playing under Coach Adolski this season?
It was a little touch and go at the beginning because, I mean, we didn't know him at all, so we just had to learn who he is and how he wants things to be ran and everything like that, but now that everything is set and good to go, I love that he's here. He cares so much about each player and the view of this, program and, of course, making this program better for the upcoming future, but it's been nothing but a dream so far, he's really awesome, personable, and expects the best out of us, and, I mean, I wouldn't ask nothing less of that, so I'm really happy that compared to last year that he has us held to higher standards.
Now, how have you balanced both academics and hockey at such a high level? Because I think when people talk to collegiate athletes, they don't really realize the other aspect of being a student athlete, which is the student part. So talk
Mhm.
about what strategies you've learned to balance both those aspects of your life.
I would say I mean, I always look at what the upcoming weekend's gonna look like and kind of plan my week out from there, but it's quite hard, actually. I think a lot of people forget I mean, of course, hockey has a mental aspect to it and a physical aspect to it, but just juggling all of it can be hard sometimes. But we always have people around us to support us, and I just knowing what you need to get done for the week and what you need to do to be prepared for the weekend to not be worried about school when you come into these games is really important. And I think first year, of course, it's very hard because it's so new and you're just learning how to juggle everything. But going into my sophomore year, it's been a lot easier, and I know when I need to get things done or when things are due, so, yeah, it's very hard, but it also depends on your major and kind of in person, online, so it's different for everyone, but not it's hard in everyone's different ways as well.
What's your major?
I just switched to community health, so I was doing biomed, and then, I wanted it to be a little more personalized, so then I thought community health would be a better route, so I'm working one-on-one with people more.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, so do you want to get in the non-hockey segment now? Have some fun a little bit?
Sure, that's fine.
Awesome. Well, first non-hockey question. The non-hockey segment is where I ask you some non-hockey questions, just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice as well as your teammates. So first one is, what music do you like to listen to?
I kinda listen to everything. I would say I'm more of a country person, but once in a while, I'll put some rap in there or some kinda anything. I mean, I'm open to listen to anything, I would say.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar to that. I can like, there's not like one specific genre of music that I
Yeah.
won't listen to, maybe except for like heavy metal. But yeah, I definitely enjoy country, but I'm probably
Mhm.
definitely more of a hip hop guy than country.
That's fair.
Now, what is your most embarrassing hockey moment?
I was thinking about this. I wouldn't say I have one exact moment in particular, but just anything when you mess up on the blue line is never fun. I mean, when you're backpedaling and just absolutely fall in the middle of the ice when no one's around, that's never fun either, but, I don't have one specific moment, I would say, just little things like that aren't the best.
It's yeah, I guess that's better than one specific moment. At least as long as
Yeah.
you don't get your like ankles broken or something like that.
Yeah, I probably have once before, but I just can't recall.
That's good. Try to keep that out of your
Yeah.
memory. Now let's ask some questions about some of your teammates. First one is who's the funniest teammate at St. Cloud?
I would have to say Courtney Hall. I mean, everything that she says just has everyone dying and laughter and smiling, so she's really a character, I would say.
Who is the worst at responding to your text messages on the team?
That would be Devin Millwater. She's a sophomore as well.
Now, does Avery Myers have the best style on the St. Cloud State women's hockey team?
Does she have the best style?
Like pregame
Um,
outfits? Because I've seen
oh,
some of the
yes,
stuff that your
yes,
team
she
posts.
does.
It's pretty good, and I feel like she has the best one besides yourself, obviously.
Thank you. But yes, I would say she does. She's always got something new to try on and wear to the rink. So yeah.
What is the most interesting thing you've seen or read this week?
I would say about just seeing everything with the football player on the what I forget what team, but just
The Bills?
yeah, the Bills, I forget. But just seeing how fast life can change in athletics and how everyone's health needs to be completely prioritized and I don't know, it's crazy things like that happen. It just puts how crazy life is back into perspective and how much we should cherish it.
Absolutely. I think his injury was
Mhm.
like one in like 263 million or something
Yeah,
like very small
it's
chance that
something out of
happens.
this world, I would say.
I think it's because like from what I was seeing, obviously I'm not a doctor, but it was like if you have a
Mhm.
collision to the chest at like the wrong moment, it can cause
Yeah.
like an arrhythmia in your heart. And it
Mhm.
happens to a lot of like baseball players normally. But like apparently some kid in Connecticut, he died because of it because a puck hit his chest like at the wrong moment. And it's sort
Oh,
of that's sort of what happens. So it's pretty scary, but it's very rare. But it only happens in
yeah.
like collegiate sports. But apparently it's like one of the leading causes of death in student athletes as
Oh,
well.
that I did not know, but I should keep that in mind and watch out for other people.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to scare you or anything. It's just something I was
No,
reading.
no, no, you're good.
Sometimes you read too deep into things. So
Yeah.
now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Anyone in the world. I think I would have dinner or lunch with Tom Hanks because he's my favorite actor and I've heard he's actually a really nice person outside of the acting realm. And his talent's crazy. So in that aspect, I would say, yeah, Tom Hanks for sure.
Favorite movie from his?
I love The Green Mile.
I'm more of a Forrest Gump guy, but I've never actually seen that
That one's
movie, so
amazing as well.
I can't say if that's the best one he's made because
Yeah, I recommend
I've
it
never
though
seen
then.
Green Mile. Awesome. Did see one with him called The Terminal. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It was a Steven Spielberg movie. It's about him being like stuck
Oh,
in an airport. It was actually pretty good. It was
oh,
on Netflix a few months
I'd have
ago.
to
I don't
watch
think
that
it's
one.
there anymore. Oh, it's a
Oh,
really good movie. If you get the chance to see it on TV or something, I highly recommend it.
perfect.
Well, getting back to some hockey questions now. First one I want to ask you is for all the younger listeners that are listening to this podcast, what advice would you give them on what it takes to make it to the level where you are today as a Division One athlete?
I would just say never have doubt in yourself and don't compare yourself to other people or the positions that they're in because everyone's road to college hockey is so different. I mean, even talking to my own teammates, like some people had to move away from home at, I mean, 10 years old, 12 years old. So just crazy things like that. And just know that the work you're putting in, of course, is going to help you in the long run. And just do everything that you can and in your power to develop yourself. And of course, have a little variability when you're young. Don't just stick to hockey right away because I feel like a lot of people who just individualize themselves right away kind of have burnout when they get older. So play another sport, have fun, challenge yourself with stuff like that. But then when you know that you want to go play college hockey, then veer more towards just hockey and then really specialize in that. So yeah, I would just tell them to do everything in their power that they can to become the person that they want to come in college sports.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like my love for hockey has grown because I played other sports growing up, like baseball and
Mhm.
soccer.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you on that. Now, last question before the interview ends is just what should be done to help grow women's hockey in your opinion?
I would just say, I mean, it's been better, of course, over the past few years, but just giving women more chances to advocate for themselves and to really show what it's like to be an athlete, a woman in athletics, if anything. I mean, it's so different compared to men's sports that I feel like we just need to be put in a different light and have it really just be appreciated that, of course, there's differences, but that we should be praised for our differences and that it should it shouldn't be put in a different light or anything of that sort, but just giving us more opportunities, I would say, to show what we're doing.
Do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, family members, friends, former teammates, or just want to say anything? The floor is all yours.
I would just give a shout out to my whole team up here. Everyone's so awesome, and I'm so happy to be a part of this team. And of course, to my sister Ava and my mom Michelle and my dad Mike. But yeah, I would say that's it for me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Grace. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to myself, and I wish you and your team nothing but the best for the rest of the season and for the rest of your hockey and future endeavors. I know you're going to do big things with that.
Thank you so much. I loved doing this.